Hello everyone and welcome back to Coloring with Haley. I have a flip through of a very wonderful, beautiful book here for you today. Color the Natural World, a timber press coloring book by Zoe Keller. Misty sent me this book for my birthday. I saw this on someone's channel, but I do not remember who, and they didn't do a full flip through. They just showed a couple of the pages inside. But I knew that I had to have it. So this is a little square coloring book, and mine has a little bit of ink rubbed on the back, but that's okay. This is not your average sized coloring book. Here is a regular coloring book versus this one. Let me grab my ruler. Here we go. Alright. So this is going to be 9 by 9, it looks like, because I know it's square. We'll just be sure. Yeah, it's 9 by 9. And this book is actually single-sided. It's not Amazon printed. It's by this timber press company. It does have decently thick paper, not watercolor quality, but definitely would work for colored pencils and alcohol markers. And although the images are 2 pages, it is single-sided. You're going to see that here in just a second. So you get an opening here. This you could color as well, and it talks about the book. So this is going to show us ecosystems and the animals that live in them from coast to coast. We're going to start on the Pacific coast, and we're going to end over here in the northeast. So you're going to see the animals and landscapes in this book change. Here, as you can see, this is how it is single-sided. It's going to go like that right there. And we start out with these owls in the treetops. And you can see it goes like this, so that's double-sided. There we go. So that's single-sided, my bad, not double-sided. And then we've got all of these slugs and snails here, and all these are 2-page spread images. They go into each other. And we've got the bear here eating the salmon. I'm going to try to not show you all of those blank pages. I'm going to try to open it every time a little different. And then we've got the salmon here. It's showing us like the different life stages of the salmon. And then we move into the ocean, where we have all different kinds of fish. And these actually have nice thick lines on a lot of these pictures, and they're decently detailed as well. Pretty realistic looking. And we go from the ocean here to some of our seafood and stuff being picked up by this seagull. You'll notice that some of the images kind of carry over into one another. Like the ocean carried over into having this seagull on it, right? And you'll notice then that this seagull is back at its nest with all of the baby birds, and it goes over into kind of this desert image here with these lizards. And we have, I think this is a pika. I believe that is the name of this animal. And it is making a nest, but this bird is trying to steal some of its grass. And then we kind of have that grass carried over here as it's being eaten by this goat. And we've got another goat over here with these little bats hanging off its chin. And then those bats take us into the desert here. We've got all these cactuses, and we've got a lot of little animals here. There's an owl hanging out here, all kinds of birds, and maybe a ground squirrel or a chipmunk. Not too sure there. And we're still in the desert. This one, of course, is a page that I love. Look at all the reptiles here. We've got our tortoise eating some of the cactuses, and then we've got our horny toads. That is what they're called. They're a little lizard. And you can see that this has, of course, like nice thick lines, so this would be really good for alcohol marker. And then from there, these butterflies that I do believe, yeah, they are on this page. You can see one right there. It takes us to these butterflies, and it kind of shows us some of the life cycle of the butterflies, because they're carrying around like the little cocoon, and you can see that then there's a caterpillar, and it's turning into the butterflies as the cocoon hatches. And of course the butterflies are on this page here with the coyote. Looking up at the little butterfly. And then we go into this one, which is really cool. It's got like cow skull here, and I think a deer skull here with all these flowers around it. This one would be, it's not thick watercolor paper, but I think you could watercolor on this just fine, especially since it's single-sided. So I think this background would be pretty to do in watercolor, and you could color the skull and like the little bird here. And then that little bird takes us into this part here of the United States. Not sure what part of the United States this is. Well, it would be down around Arizona because they do get some wildcats occasionally up from Mexico. But I don't know what wildcat I think that is. And then these are Luna moths. The back of the book does tell us what all these animals are, so you can look in the back to get the names of them. And here is our birds with a big pelican. He is eating, I think that's our moths back there. He's eating these little tiny fish here. And those little tiny fish are, of course, tangled up in these tree roots with all of these other fish. And then what looks to be like an eel here is tangled up in there as well. And then we go into like the swamp down in Florida, Louisiana. I love this picture. It's just so cool. We've got our big python. He's wrapped around this alligator. And the alligator's got part of the python in its mouth. He's got this big snail on him. And this bird's grabbing part of the python too, but the python's kind of looking up at the bird like, what's going on? From the previous page, we have our little fish down here. This one's a really neat page. And then we go back with our fish there again with the sea turtle here, looking at all these colorful fish. So we have made it to the other coast, but now we gotta go up. And then we come to the shore where we've got this little raccoon here, and we've got our sea turtles hatching and some crabs. Now the raccoon would be eating the crabs and also probably the eggs, because there are some eggs down here. Love this page a lot. These little crabs are so cute. Same with the baby sea turtles. You notice the raccoon has these little leaves in his fur. That's going to take us to our next location, which these two images are my favorite in the whole book, the salamanders. We've ended up on like my side now, the Ozarks. This is the Eastern Hellbender. That's its name. They're a humongous salamander that is almost extinct in the wild, and we are working to bring them back. Love this page so much. Can't wait to color this one. And then this over here, it's not really a mandala, but it's probably as close as I'll ever get to a mandala to color. You'll notice it's got the little leaves there that the raccoon had. And it's just a big old pile of salamanders and newts. Love this page so much. You got a tiger salamander there and there. So exciting, so cute. And there's actually maybe a couple lizards tangled up in here too, now that I look at it a little closer. This guy right here definitely looks a little lizardy. This page is so cool. Can't wait to color these. And then it brings you to the swamp, which we've got our little salamander here hanging on to these plants, and we've got our great big heron here taking a look around for something to eat in the swamp. Little salamander's probably hanging on, hoping he doesn't get spotted. We've got some dragonflies here. This is just a wonderful, wonderful book. And then here at the very back, these are the pages that tell you all of the regions and the animals. So it went from a Pacific Northwest forest to the Pacific Ocean, Pacific coastal waters, the sagebrush region, the Western Alpine region, and I was right, that little hamster-looking animal, we'll go back to him, that is a pika right there. The Western Alpine went to the Desert Southwest. That is what ground squirrel it said. And the Desert Southwest went to the Great Plains, which took us to the Gulf Coastal Plains, which took us to the Everglades, where we saw the alligator and the Burmese python. Oh, I actually like the description here. It says 2 keystone species. Those are species that are very important to an ecosystem, by the way. the alligator and the spoonbill defend their habitat against the invasive species, the big snail, the python, and the lionfish. That's really cool. Like, as a biologist, I just eat this stuff up, man. Like, this is the stuff I'm nerdy over. So we went from the Everglades to the coral reef where we saw our sea turtle. And then it went to the Atlantic coast to the eastern deciduous forest. That is the type of biome I live in. And it ended on the eastern deciduous forest in a swamp. That was our last picture. How neat is that? What a very cool coloring book. I also love that she does detail on every page. For example, this one here, you know, she tells you this is a great blue heron. It's in cattails, in blue flat irises. There are dragonflies and a spotted salamander. So she tells you all of the wildlife, all of the plants, in case you wanted to color it, you know, exactly like it's supposed to be colored. And then we get a little about our author page here. And that is it. You know what? Hold up. I gotta go see what that wildcat was that we were talking about. An ocelot. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Where'd he go? There he is. An ocelot. Yeah, that makes sense given the location. Sometimes those things do creep up from Mexico. But this is a fantastic, spectacular little book, and I'm really happy that it is single-sided, so I can actually use markers in it. What do you guys think of this book? Do you think it's interesting? Do you like how realistic it is? Do you like that the artist has given you the names of everything that appears so you can color them accurately? Like I said, as someone studying biology, I just eat this up. This one is a spectacular, like, natural world coloring book. Love this one so much. Thank you guys so much for watching my flip through.